week on the Ultimate Seattle Sports Show. Mariners continue their homestand tonight against Detroit. Brendan Donovan expected to be back in the lineup as he returns from rehab. Jerry DiPoto talked recently about how the players on the current Mariners roster need to play to the level they're known for. And Bill, do you expect Donovan to pick up where he left off in May, where he was batting .274?
Well, I think you have to be somewhat patient. He's missed an awful lot of time. He's seen a little bit of minor league pitching. He hasn't done great, but that doesn't mean anything at all. Once he gets up here, it's a much different scenario of working with big league pitching that's on the plate. Be patient, but I think this guy has got great bat-to-ball skills. He brings an energy. He hits the ball all over the ballpark. He just brings an attitude that can really infuse this team with some confidence, hit him at the top of the lineup. He's got some power, but really a guy that can hit doubles. This team doesn't hit doubles, and really get some action, get some base runners, and play with that dirty uniform that you're looking at right there.
Yeah.
That's his calling card. He gets that thing dirty early, just plays with reckless abandon, loves to play. His problem was he just wouldn't quit when he started to feel a little bit of an injury, and played right through it and really hurt himself because he just has one gear. But now that he's healthy, he's really going to help this team.
He likes the knee-high socks, too, Bill. Did you like that as well?
I think it depends on the player. That wouldn't be me. I would not be doing the Babe Ruth. I'd have them pants down, okay? That wasn't cool for me, but for him, I think it works.
All right, GM Justin Hollander says outfielder Luke Raley will probably miss the rest of the season. He's been dealing with an injured forearm since late June. How much does that hinder the lineup moving forward? Obviously, you get Ward, so that helps out a little bit here.
Yeah, you get an equal or probably a better defender in Ward, and gives you the right-handed bat. Raley's done a great job for this team. I think it was the month of May he really carried him. He had 15 homers. He plays really hard. He had a great, first few months, and then the injuries. He hurt his back, and now the forearm. It looks like that could end his season, which is a shame because he's a really good player. He plays so hard. He's got extreme power and can really hit in streaks and help this team. But with Canzone's really ascension to being that left-handed power bat in right field, you're kind of replicating that a little bit with Raley. And I like the fact that Canzone's getting some chances to play in the outfield because his future depends on being on the field. If he wants to be the player that he dreams himself to be, you can't be a late 20s year old and DH and only.
All right, let's take an optimistic look at the Mariners. So let's say they make the playoffs and look at their starting rotation. Bill, who would be your top three starters in the postseason right now?
As I look at what they're doing right now, I think Logan Gilbert's your number one. I think he's going to be the guy that starts. I like the way he's been throwing the baseball. I like the fact that he's throwing his fastball more. I like his competitiveness. I like his breaking stuff that he gets on top of the baseball and throws breaking stuff that goes down. I would then probably say it's Brian Wu, and then kind of a toss-up. When you start talking about whether it's going to be Miller or it's going to be Hancock or Kirby. I would say Kirby. I would say those would be my top three. I would go Gilbert, Kirby, and Wu. Those would be my three.
If Game 2's home and Game 3's on the road, and I'm joking, but the numbers point, Bill, that Wu has been so good at home this year.
I think it's a bit of an anomaly, but sometimes you start thinking about it a little bit because you got those 4 days or 5 days or 6 days. At least that's stopping now. Yeah. They're going to pitch a 4 days rest. That you have too much time to think about this stuff. But Brian is too good. It doesn't matter where he pitches. Yes, T-Mobile's a great park to pitch in where he can upshoot the fastball and give up a big fly to center. But I think a lot of it was circumstance. He just needs to be able to nip that there's going to be innings of stress. And he just has to be a little bit better on making a big pitch when it matters with guys in scoring position. And once he does it a couple times, he'll go back to being the dominant pitcher that he was. There's some things I think he needs to work on, and I think we're going to talk a little bit about the types of pitches that these guys
I want to get. That's why we love this guy, Paul. He knows the game. He pitched in the game. He played in the majors. I feel like this is like the baseball bunch with Johnny Bench. And we asked Bill the question.
I can't put those 6 balls in my hand. I wish I could do that.
So I do need to ask. I mean, I'm a Vizardo fan, but he's been scaring me every time he gets on the mound lately. It hasn't been a great, few runs for Vizardo lately. Have you seen anything there with him?
Well, he's getting hurt on the sweeper, and the sweeper is like a trendy pitch. It's a fashion plate pitch that needs to be re-examined. It's a great pitch for a guy like Paul Sewald or Jeff Nelson, come from the side. But when you start talking about power pitchers that are on top of the baseball, the sweeper is a dangerous pitch to left-hand hitters because if it stays in the strike zone, it stays on the bat longer because it's a longer, flatter break. It looks cool, but it's not good because you want the breaking ball to go down. So I think Wu needs to rethink that pitch. I think Kirby needs to rethink it. Bizzardo, heck, that game against the Twins, he was throwing some nasty two-seamers. He was just missing spots. His stuff is still good. Get the sinker down, and let's find a breaking ball that goes down. I know that's a lot to ask at this point in the season because guys get committed to pitches, but I think a sweeper as a philosophical, organizational thing, I think they need to really take a good, hard look at that. And if you're not a sidearm pitcher, it's helped Hancock, okay?
Yeah.
Because he had no breaking stuff, and now he had a lane changer that he can throw from out here because he's got a flat arm angle. It works for him. It's given him this pitch that's really changed his career. And he does Luke Lelouch it a little bit. You hit the bull, win a stake. Every once in a while, you watch one that goes to the backstop, but it's really helped him.
So unless you're sidearm or a submarine, let's put the sweeper to bed for now.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about Kade Anderson now. Justin Hollander says Anderson is definitely in the mix to be part of the Mariners rotation. Bill, do you think we'll see him sooner than later? Will he be a September call-up, or maybe we don't see him at all this season?
Well, I think he's in the position where if anything happens, a guy gets a hangnail and has to miss a couple of starts, he could come up and pitch and he'd be fine. He's just that talented. I mean, he's ready for the big leagues. If they weren't so loaded in the rotation, he'd be here for sure because he's absolutely ready to pitch, no doubt in my mind. I think he's a September call-up. They're going to have 2 spots to fill. They bring him up, maybe give him a start in September on a certain, see how he throws, and maybe he's the secret weapon as you go into the playoffs and face teams with a lot of left-hand hitting. The Mariners are all right-handed starters. Having somebody different, you listen, in their hopes and dreams, they'd love to have him in there, but right now they're committed to the 5 guys, and the 5 guys are really good. So I don't think unless something bad happens to one of our starters, you're not going to see him till September, but I think he becomes kind of that secret weapon, maybe start him one time and then get to the playoffs and you could sneak him into the middle of the game and let him pitch, or maybe even a start. We'll see.
If the 5 are doing well, and that could go down to 4 if you get into the playoffs. Now you got to talk about one of those 5 possibly going to the bullpen.
To the bullpen, yeah.
Somebody like Kade, just take me through that transition of possibly coming out of the bullpen. It's easy for all of us to say, oh, just put him in the bullpen, just throw him in the bullpen. How hard is that for a young arm to learn that transition at the biggest moment of his life in the playoffs?
Well, it's a different world. The phone used to ring and guys would have to get up, and if they're really talented, they could get up and throw 7, 8 pitches and be ready for the game. This is a different world. We're cutting and pasting these opportunities, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. Guys know when they're going to pitch. And so I think with Kade in particular, they would clearly let him know what his role is that day and when they would anticipate him pitching if he was going to pitch. So he wouldn't be sitting on pins and needles out in the bullpen, and he'd have plenty of time to get ready. I think he'd handle it wonderfully. The adrenaline would kick in. He'd have an extra gear out there. He's just that good. I mean, he hasn't been to the big leagues yet, but nobody in baseball is throwing the ball better than this guy. I mean, the 15 starts with a 1.27 ERA and no walks and 1 million strikeouts. He's left-handed with a 4-pitch touch. I mean, he's ready for the big leagues.
What is that moment like? Because unfortunately, Paul and I haven't felt that if you were to go from Double-A Arkansas, 6,000 to 7,000 people watching you, to all of a sudden 46,000 on their feet. I mean, that's just got to be.
Well, I can speak to this directly because I came from Double-A. I came from Double-A where there was nobody in West Haven, Connecticut watching us play. And I had to pitch against the California Angels on a Sunday with 30,000 people and facing, Reggie Jackson and Rod Carew and all those guys. Yeah, my knees were knocking when I was warming up, believe me. Once you get across the line, though, it just becomes a really good game. All that stuff goes away. You kind of lock in, and the nerves go down, and you just start playing baseball and really competing. And that's what
How'd you do against Reggie?
Oh, well, that was a a story. We don't have time to tell the whole story. But I got him out twice, and then I hit him in the bicep with a fastball, and a lot of colorful comments were made to me when I was holding him on first.
Yeah, but we have talked a little bit about your early career and the fact that the headspace that you're in. You go in, you have the offense gives you a nice lead to work with, and you go out there. So when a pitcher goes out there, what's the difference between going out there with a 3-2 lead and an 8-1 lead? I mean, especially a young guy.
I think for me, it was actually even harder with the bigger lead because, you're just out there, hey, listen, don't screw it up. Whereas, a tighter game, you're just pitching the game that you used to pitching your whole life. You've built yourself to do this. You've been in tough situations all the way along. It's just, it's bright lights, a bigger stage. The players are really good. But yourself, as a competitor, I didn't really have a real big difference between the two. Plus, the way the game's played today. As soon as you get to the middle of the game, if you're in any kind of a snag, you're coming out of the game. So it's really not going to be left on your shoulders to win or lose the game. That's not how we play today. I mean, of course, when I pitched, we were trying to go 9. It's a different time and place today. So,
and didn't you go 10 innings once?
I did go 10 innings. I did.
It's a different
Paul,
game.
as he's sitting
6
here,
and you're out now.
Nobody on this show makes me I take notes every time you're talking. And I honestly, I do want to say thank you, Bill. We talked about this with Softy yesterday. We've had certain guests on the show more than others, you being one of them. And the show is getting good reviews. We're moving to King 5 TV.
You guys are the stars.
Well,
that's
but you are such a huge part of this show. And, the Mariners, obviously, everybody wants to talk about this team.
Sure.
It's a team with high expectations, and you have helped myself. You've been my therapist. You've been my doctor. Paul tries.
I can't deliver like the professionalism that you deliver.
But in the end, we appreciate you. And we got more good times ahead. I mean, we got a lot.
I think this is going to be riveting baseball. This schedule coming up is tough, but this is a team that's got the talent. They can do it.
Yeah, but you've talked, and I want to touch on that before we go to break and say goodbye to you. But that August schedule for this team, I mean, I heard you guys talk about it in the sports office. We've been talking about it on this show. It is a gauntlet and a real test for this Mariners team.
This is going to determine their season, honestly. I mean, and Brash is not going to be a part of this, most likely. So Dominguez is going to have to pitch. The starters are going to have to carry the game. Hopefully that extra guy out there will give them rest, and the offense will find its gear now that we've added Donovan and Ward. So you look at that. They got to play the Rays, the Yankees, the Astros, the much-improved Astros that you're going head-to-head with, the Brewers, the best team in the National League right now, really a fun team. And then the Cubs have really added with the 2 pitchers. They're very good. So, this is going to be a real test for this club.
Well,
it's going to determine their fate this year by being able to. They don't have to dominate the next 3 weeks. They just have to hold serve. Maybe play a little above 500. September comes, soften the schedule. Brash comes back with the electric breaking ball, and the world will be great.
Yeah, September, softer schedule, and we don't face Scooble tonight, so I'll start
it's
with
all
that.
good.
So,
yeah.
One team you didn't see on there is the Red Sox, too. So, the hottest team in baseball, you got them on the schedule coming up, too. So, in that stretch. So, it's going to be very interesting. Great baseball to watch. What a challenge it will be for the Mariners. Bill, thank you for coming on. Looking forward to the next visit for sure.
Yeah.
All right, Bill Kruger with us, as always.